Unfortunately, in the last day, there was a tragic incident where our forces unintentionally struck innocent people in the Gaza Strip.
That's your government at work, folks. That's our tax dollars at work. What you're seeing on your screen right there is the vehicle, one of the vehicles for World Central Kitchen. In just one day, Israel managed to kill aid workers that were multinationals, aid workers, diplomats, Iranian diplomats, and hospital workers all in one day. All of these war crimes, all of them supported and sustained by the U.S. government. So that means that the Biden administration, the U.S. government, in the past day, helped Israel assassinate Americans, Canadians, British aid workers. That's your government at work, folks. That's our tax dollars at work. The Biden administration helping to assassinate Americans, British, and Canadian aid workers who were doing nothing but feeding the starving people in Gaza. The thing about this aid convoy is so horrific. They were targeted. It was 3 separate vehicles. It was workers that clearly spend their time, all of their time, risk their lives, obviously. 7 of them have just lost their lives to feed people. And there have been videos and various interviews and such done with World Central Kitchen showing them making the food, prepping the food, feeding extremely hungry and starving people. World Central Kitchen is devastated to confirm 7 members of our team have been killed in an IDF strike in Gaza. The WCK team was traveling in a deconflicted zone, meaning they'd been told that missiles were not being fired in the area. In 2 armored vehicles branded with the WCK logo and soft skin vehicle. And as a video I just showed you, they were branded with the logo on the roofs as well as the sides, so that all these helicopters and jets that are the ones that bomb them from above can see the logos as they're above them. But obviously they were being targeted for being aid workers. So in fact, the logo worked against them because it was useful for the IDF to know exactly who was cooking up the food so that they could murder them. Despite coordinating movements with the IDF, so they told the IDF where they would be. The convoy was hit as it was leaving the Deir al-Balah warehouse, where the team had unloaded more than 100 tons of humanitarian food aid brought to Gaza on the maritime route. This is not only an attack against WCK, this is an attack on humanitarian organizations showing up in the most dire of circumstances where food is being used as a weapon. This is unforgivable, unquote. The 7 killed are from Australia, Poland, UK, a dual citizen of the U.S. and Canada, and Palestine. The IDF says it is carrying out an in-depth investigation, examination at the highest levels to understand the circumstances of this tragic incident.
Unfortunately, in the last day, there was a tragic incident where our forces unintentionally struck innocent people in the Gaza Strip.
The IDF really wants to know how it could be that they murdered these aid workers. World Central Kitchen is pausing our operations immediately in the region.
World Central Kitchen halting aid operations in Gaza after an Israeli airstrike killed 7 aid workers.
Do you think that's the goal? Do you think that's why they murdered these people? Was to stop them from feeding people in Gaza? That was the goddamn goal. And it succeeded because World Central Kitchen, as hardworking and willing to risk lives as they are, they're not willing to send these employees in to just be assassinated. But to show you just how clearly it is that they targeted all of the 3 of these vehicles. This is not one vehicle. This is not a vehicle next to a building and the building gets hit and then the vehicle accidentally gets hit because the building was hit. You see the difference? This is very clearly planned. And this shows the 3 vehicles that were all bombed heavily, and it shows the spots they were, and they're 2.43 kilometers apart. Each one, basically the first one up here is bombed, and because these were traveling together, the second one then picks up the survivors and maybe even the dead to try and see if they can be saved, and keeps trying to drive out of the area. The second one is then bombed. The third car then picks up the survivors from the second car, and that one's bombed later down the road. So carefully tracked, carefully assassinated, the World Central Kitchen. Should I repeat that? The World Kitchen is who Israel is murdering in their ongoing genocide operation. It's tough to even come up with how to be shocked enough at the insanity, the murderous, frothing at the mouth insanity of Israel right now. Of course, backed by the U.S. This is a U.S.-backed genocide. At every turn, it is U.S.-backed. But like I said, Israel, in one day, in one 24-hour period, for those of you who don't know how many hours are in a day, it's 24. In one 24-hour period, Israel has murdered aid workers that are Americans, Australians, and Canadians, and British, murdered diplomats, which is supposed to be illegal and was not even done in World War II, murdered doctors. All of these are war crimes, like I've said. All of these are war crimes, and it's in one 24-hour period. These are not accidental killings. These are aimed. These are targeted. To me, there's a big difference in that, because it is horrific to see aid workers murdered, but it is just a different story if they were in a building and the building was hit because it was something else. But no, this is IDF gunning for aid workers. And to just remind you how much this garbage, this murderous garbage has been normalized. Do you remember back in the first couple of weeks after October 7th, when Israel was just beginning this phase of their ongoing genocide, when it was just beginning, they tried to play off an attack on a hospital as if it wasn't their fault, because everyone was horrified. Everyone was like, you bombed a hospital? You bombed a hospital. And they tried to play it off. And here is the article from that time from the New York Times, which does just about nothing but Israeli propaganda nowadays. This is the New York Times saying Hamas failed to make the case that Israel struck the hospital, right? And you heard plenty of articles, plenty of mainstream media, plenty of U.S. government saying, oh no, what happened was Hamas fired a rocket that accidentally circled back and came back and hit the hospital. Hamas hit their own hospital. That's what happened. And remember that? We were told that. We were told to believe that as if that was reality. Well, here we are now, 179 days of genocide later. Every hospital in Gaza has been destroyed or hit with bombs in one way or another. 36 separate hospitals have been destroyed. Here's the latest one. This is Al-Shifa Hospital, I think basically the largest, last remaining functioning hospital. Totally obliterated, totally destroyed. This is 36 hospitals that have all been destroyed and forced to cease operations. So this is no accident. This is not Hamas. Oh, Hamas just accidentally keeps firing missiles that turn around and heat seek towards hospitals. No, I'm sorry. That ridiculous lie was laughable from the beginning. Here we are with all of the health systems in Gaza destroyed. Of course, this is by design, as I've brought you many times. Why would they want to destroy the health systems in Gaza? It's not just because it's homicidal and disgusting, and they find it funny to watch wounded people die. No, it's because they want as many people to die in Gaza from wounds that are treatable, from treatable diseases, from anything that could be fixed in a hospital. They want as many people to die in Gaza from that as from their bombs. That is the goal of Israel, and that's how a genocide works. And that is really why they've gone after the health system so harshly throughout this ongoing genocide campaign. It really is just all in one day. All in one day. Israel blew up the Iranian embassy basically in Syria, in Damascus, Syria, and it killed several Iranian diplomats, one of them a high-level person in their military, I think. You know, this was one of those things, protecting diplomats was one of those things that most countries agreed upon. And the reason they agree upon it is because it protects their own diplomats as well, right? If an Iranian diplomat can come travel somewhere to meet with them and try and solve problems, then that's good for both sides, because that means U.S. and Israeli diplomats can travel places and not fear that they'll be the victims of this type of horror. Yet here is Israel breaking, of course, those international laws. Israel has broken so many international laws you can't even count them anymore. It's so many war crimes. I've lost count. I think most people have. And like I said, this video right here is the remaining cinders of Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza on April 1st. Just totally obliterated.